Chair Woodson, we can start.
Welcome, everyone. I'd almost say it's a packed crowd because we have 4 times as many people as we usually have. So that said, let's go ahead and begin. Wow, my meeting agenda is all messed up today. So go ahead. I've got it. It's just the formatting looks weird. So go ahead and do a call to order. Right. We go ahead and do official call to order. And we have one that is we do have one commissioner who is calling in.
Yes, Commissioner Jacobson,
Yes,
maybe if you could speak up, turn up your volume just a little bit.
I am doing that as we speak. It's all the
Thank
way
you.
up.
Sounds good. Commissioner Chang,
Yeah.
St. John,
Here.
Chair Woodson,
Here.
Vice Chair Walton,
Here.
Commissioner Rana, Commissioner Barron. You have quorum.
Thank you very much. All right, next up, roll call a quorum is moment of silence and pledge of allegiance. I have our esteemed past commissioner chair here. So I'm told, see, this is about the only time I can ask you to do this. So would you mind? Moment.
Join me. First moment of silence. Please join me on the pledge.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Nancy. Trying to break that whole fourth plane and get out to the audience. Okay, next up on the agenda is we have any special announcements or communications from the floor today. Don't believe we have anything. Nope. Thought we had one more person coming in and then he stood there at the door and then he left. All right. Next up is ex parte communications for quasi judicial matters. We have anything from the commissioners that you would like to raise on communications that have occurred over the last month? Nothing. Okay. All right. Next up is our consent agenda. Where all we have is the approval of the minutes for last month's meeting. Any comments or changes when you reviewed those that need to be made or you would like to request? Okay, would somebody like to make a motion to approve the minutes?
I motion to approve the minutes as written.
Okay, Commissioner. I second. Okay, we have Mr. Wilson has offered to pay the motion and Commissioner Chang has seconded that.
Commissioner Barron, Commissioner Rana,
Yes.
Commissioner Walton,
Yes.
Commissioner Woodson,
Yes.
Commissioner St. John,
Yes.
Commissioner Chang.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Hey, what about me?
Oh, Commissioner Jacobson. Sorry, Commissioner Jacobson.
Yes.
Oh, motion passes.
We already had enough to pass.
Chair,
I know, but you can't ignore me out here.
Chair Woodson.
Yes.
Sorry, I'm getting an echo here. Can you all hear my echo?
Yes.
Yes.
But it's not terrible. So go ahead and.
We need to do AB 2449 findings for Chair Jacobson.
So Commissioner Jacobson is calling in remotely, and so the deputy city attorney just asked him a few questions so that he's cleared to participate in the meeting. So that's what he's.
Okay.
So Sep, go ahead. Oh, you're muted, Sep.
Does that solve my echo problem?
No, but it's actually it's not that bad. So
There, can you hear me?
yes.
Yes.
Wonderful. Chair Jacobson, I'm sorry, Commissioner Jacobson, in order for you to attend remotely, you just have to assert that you are joining under one of the just cause provisions of Senate Bill 2449, which is either you're caring for a family member who needs care at the moment, or you have a contagious illness or some other cause for joining remotely and participating in the meeting.
I do not have either of those. I'm actually visiting my sister in Tennessee.
I correct me if I'm wrong, but we had worked this out prior to today's meeting that we put his address actually on the agenda, and we're using the pre-COVID older version of, as long as we posted his address on the agenda, that it was fine for him to participate.
Fantastic. If that's been done, then no further comment. And sorry for,
Okay. Thank you.
raising the confusion. Thank you.
Thank you.
No, that's okay. It's better to be conservative and ask the question than not. And have that come back. So I appreciate it. All right. I think we're good now. We've approved the minutes. Got the forum. We're all ready to go. Next up is we have public hearings. There were two items on the agenda today. The first item was the continuation, was the Los Animas concrete conditional use permit. In a combined kind of recommendation between Los Animas and the staff. The agreement is made to go ahead and postpone that till next month, till October 24th meeting. That way we could focus more on today's discussion on the downtown plan as a specific. And that's actually, I think that was actually already posted into the minutes ahead of time also. So
we do need a motion to continue it to
Right.
October 24th.
I just wanted to make sure that they knew it was actually listed in here that we plan on doing it. So do we have a motion to officially continue this to the October 24th, 2024 Planning Commission?
I will so move.
You have to make a motion.
I move that we move that item, whichever it is, item 1 to, or 6A or whatever it is, to the next meeting in October.
Okay.
That's good. All right, so we have the motion by Commissioner Jacobson and the second by Commissioner Rana. Go ahead and take a vote.
Commissioner Jacobson,
Yes.
Commissioner Barron, Commissioner Rana, Commissioner Walton,
Yes.
Chair Woodson,
Yes.
Commissioner St. John,
Yeah.
Commissioner Chang.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Great. Moving on. So we have the main item for tonight, which is discussing the downtown specific recommendation to City Council. Quick couple pieces of background on this is the third time this has come before the commission in the last 2 years. So this is the final recommendation that we're reviewing today before it goes to City Council for adoption. There are a number of comments that were submitted to the public, from the public, that the commission has copies of. We'll go over tonight. And hopefully we get some good feedback from the community on this. This has been a long time coming, over 10 years that we've been developing this. So we're almost at the finish line. With that kind of said, I go ahead and start with the staff report. Rita?
Great. Good evening, Commission and members of the public virtually and in the audience tonight. So we're going to go over the project schedule, what is a specific plan, the goals and build out for the plan, chapters of the plan, the history, sequel update, recent commission community input, and kind of some next steps if the commission and council recommend approval. So this has been the project schedule. As you can see, a large part of the year has been dominated by the CEQA schedule of public comments, responding to comments, preparing the final EIR, and then having the public hearings for the item. So what is a specific plan? A specific plan is a planning tool that local governments can use to implement their general plan and to guide development in a localized area. This is consistent with the general plan policy 5.11, specifically directs the city and staff to adopt a downtown specific plan. So there are many goals of the plan. I will not go over all of them. I'm going to highlight some high level ones that I thought were of value to the commission and hopefully to the council. Mobility, improved pedestrian and vehicular circulation, economic vitality, attract and sustain economic activity, housing affordability, high quality housing options for people to live in the downtown, cultural diversity, to create a downtown where people of all incomes, ages, abilities, races, and cultures feel like they belong, and community identity, a place that provides opportunities for an attractive built environment. So at full build out, the plan will bring approximately 2,900 new residential units into the urban core and approximately 1.3 million square feet of new office and retail space. So the specific plan itself is broken up into several chapters. I won't read all of them, but just to the commission as you're reading through the document. And this is the downtown. It's a very wide area for a traditional downtown. A lot of the implementation will occur in the core along Del Monte Boulevard. So this project has quite a bit of history. I'm not going to read through this whole slide, but if you go into our office, you'll see in 1978, there's a staff report encouraging the city to support a downtown. Fast forward a few years, there was establishment of a redevelopment agency with the focus on a downtown area. In 94, Fort Ord closed. Marina loses about 21% of its population, severely impacting the downtown area. There was a retail leakage study done. There was actually downtown vision and design guidelines actually adopted, which is pretty progressive. 2006, there was a traffic study recommending that Del Monte go down to 2 lanes. And even as recently as 2011, there was a draft plan prepared. And then prior to my employment, right before I started, there was a series of ad hoc meetings, planning commission hearings, ERC meetings, and council meetings. And then since I've come on board in 2021, the commission, we've had 4 separate hearings about this. We had an NOP scoping hearing. The council and commission adopted an overlay for the downtown to help us get certified for our 5th cycle. And we've worked through some of the issues related to revising the plan in terms of making it less subjective to make it consistent with state law. So as stated previously, there is policies in the general plan directing the staff and the city to adopt this. And to use the specific plan as the primary regulatory tool to use very specific municipal zoning. So specific plans come in all shapes and sizes. Some are very general, some are very specific as the name and titles. The direction from the council and from the planning and the general plan is to make this a very detailed, specific plan. Fast forward a few years, we did bring the draft plan to the Planning Commission and City Council last November. And the question that was posed was, does the community, the commission and council want to maintain a highway commercial type zone? Or does the commission, council, and community want a true downtown? And the answer was, we want to proceed with the downtown plan and to move away from less highway commercial designations. And that is really the core of the tension for adoption of the plan, as you move into this new realm for development and zoning, there will be some natural tension between existing properties and the implementation of the plan. Adoption of this plan is allowed under the city's police powers. This is a legislative act of the city, and the city has broad discretion to implement this plan. And as mentioned, the downtown plan was very much supported, the draft that we brought back last year. In addition to limiting highway commercial zones, there was clear direction to limit drive-throughs in the core. But also the commission and council are being sensitive to local property owners and business owners by adding some additional non-conforming language to allow potentially non-conforming businesses to expand. This issue has come up several times in the 2.5 years I've been here, so I thought I would just kind of explain it. So what is a non-conforming use? It's a land use of an existing business that does not conform to the current zoning designations. There's well-established court cases allowing a city to rezone properties and in the process create non-conforming situations. There is no immediate cessation of the business. No one's coming with a bulldozer to knock down an existing business. Once again, we've added language to allow expansion of non-conforming uses even more. Section 7.6.2 of the downtown plan is where that language can be found. And the picture on the right is just as an example. So Randy's Donut, that sign and that building probably would not be allowed. That large of a donut, probably not okay under current sign codes. But Randy's Donuts and his big old, he can stay there for as long as he wants as a non-conforming business. And as long as they're operational, then we're fine to operate as a non-conforming business. With that said, in speaking with various stakeholders, there still was some concerns about some of the language in the plan. And so staff tonight is recommending some slight alterations to support the local businesses in terms of the rollout of the plan. The language is here on the screen. There was also concern about a paragraph added on page 89 of the plan. Staff is recommending to remove that paragraph. And once again, there's nothing legally wrong with what we're doing, but we're trying to do this in a way that we can get as much support as possible from all interested stakeholders. So in the 2.5 years I've been here, we've done quite a plan. I've spoken with the Korean Business Association, Marina Foundation, the Chamber of Commerce, the Asian Communities of Marina. I've boothed at the farmers market 3 times. Nick has been keeping a memo for all the people who come to the front counter. We actually have 26 separate property owners who are very much eager to get started because as the commission knows, currently in the general plan, you cannot do development in the downtown unless you spend anywhere from $50,000 to $100,000 on your own specific plan. And so we have a lot of property owners interested. In addition, since the release of the CEQA document, I've been having these little mini focus groups. I've reached out to members of the clergy, members on school board, property owners, business owners, for-profit and affordable housing developers. And I've also hired a mailing company. We've sent postcards to physical addresses and situs addresses of every property in the downtown 3 times in the last 2.5 years. So we've sent out about 3,600 postcards. So I've been trying to make an effort to be as transparent and to get the word out as much as possible. In addition to the outreach, when we brought this to commission and council last fall, we've added some additional verbiage to show additional pictures to show the diversity of Marina. We've enhanced the demographic data within the plan. There were quite a few comments from a Mr. Jay Gentry about sustainability. We've accommodated this gentleman and added quite a bit of language to support sustainability in the plan. We've also modified the public art policy to encourage art that honors the diversity and history of Marina. We've removed acronyms, made sure that they're spelled out, added additional language about how we monitor removal of trees, and beefed up the multimodal implementation. So if the commission makes a favorable recommendation tonight, there are specific actions that the commission has to take. We do need to remove 2 policies in the general plan that mandate specific plans for development. If the plan is adopted, override those policies. And in addition, we need the general plan to be amended to ensure that future development projects follow the downtown parking standards. We do need to codify the specific plan zoning designations into the municipal code, and we need to amend the zoning map to incorporate the specific plan design standards. So this is the CEQA process. I've already touched on this a little bit. We are almost hopefully at the certification. So last November, we brought the notice of preparation, which is basically telling the public and community, we have prepared an EIR. This is the notice to tell you that. We released the draft EIR. We had a public comment period. It was 45 days. We responded to all of those comments. We prepared the final EIR, and now we're at the certification to get a recommendation tonight. Just thought it would be important to highlight some of the comments that I got, just in case these comments come up tonight. Why is this? As a program EIR, the EIR is not required to analyze site-specific impact of individual projects. If an individual project comes in that has CEQA impacts, we will assess that at that time. And there is no evidence that this plan will create urban decay. An EIR is not required to look at the economic feasibility of a study. And pursuant to the CEQA guidelines, economic or social effects of a project are not considered significant effects on the environment. We did study a reasonable range of alternatives. We're not required to study every possible scenario under the sun. This plan does not constitute a regulatory taking. And this is, once again, is a legislative act of the city that the city has full discretion to implement. So as part of this process and as the specific further from now. Okay. Can you guys hear me? Sorry.
Now again,
So there are two environmental impacts that cannot, so under the provision of CEQA, when there's an environmental impact, we do our best to mitigate those to a less than significant level. There are two impacts for air, one for air quality and one for traffic that cannot be mitigated to a less than significant impact. So in order for the commission and eventually the council to adopt the plan, we need to adopt a statement of overriding consideration. This is a written statement explaining the specific reasons why the social, economic, legal, technical, or other beneficial aspects of the project outweigh the unavoidable adverse impacts. So written findings of fact are included in your staff report to support the statement of overriding consideration. In addition, there were some other just generic comments. Car dealerships are allowed as an outdoor sales use in the core district. That's something the commission can deliberate on tonight, if that's something you want to keep in the core district or not. Additional pictures were added to highlight the different Asian and Korean businesses in the downtown, and kind of random adult businesses and escort services somehow were a conditional use. I don't know how that ended up in the plan. That was before my time, but that obviously has been removed. So as I mentioned, I did quite a bit of focus groups and outreach the last 3 or 4 months. I met probably with about 30 different individuals. Generally, consistent support for the plan. The biggest concern, which we'll be addressing, is the road diet along Del Monte that will be tied to the plan. It's a separate project that we're not studying tonight. We're not discussing really tonight. And the roundabouts. People were generally in favor of getting the plan adopted, but in terms of potentially traffic slowing down when the road diet occurs, there was concern. We have studied this issue. The delay along Del Monte will still be within the city's acceptable traffic standard. And so we can discuss that tonight. It's not really on the agenda, but just wanted to highlight that was a consistent comment that came from the public. If we can get a favorable recommendation tonight, there are implementation measures I will be bringing to the commission. We do need a special event permit to help activate the downtown area. And I will be continually partnering with the Chamber of Commerce and the Marina Foundation to hopefully implement the plan. There are some funding implications now that the commission and council have certified the housing element. We are eligible for the active transportation program grant. That's a $12 million grant to help create the road diet on Del Monte. We'll find out in January if we get that. I am working with Rincon to help us get the pro housing designation. If we can get that, that's additional funding from the state. And the city of Santa Cruz, speaking with their staff, they actually got a $20 million infill and infrastructure grant to help revitalize their downtown. So these are all funding mechanisms in play that if the plan can be adopted, that we can go after to actually implement the plan. So there are several specific actions the commission has to take tonight. The very first action is to adopt the CEQA document, the mitigation monitoring program, and the statement of overriding consideration, to adopt the plan, to make specific general plan amendments, to make zoning text amendments to the municipal code and to the zoning map, and if the commission is favorable, to make minor edits to and identified in my presentation. And then just for some housekeeping items, we do have Rincon on the phone. They're the consulting firm that's been helping to prepare the CEQA document and the actual plan. And then there are letters of support and some comment letters from property owners on the dais for the commission. That concludes my initial presentation.
Thanks. Actually, on the recommended motion, it's actually in the motion itself, the draft, and it's in the conditions. Isn't there a seventh one, which is the rescinding of the council 2008-11 motion or resolution? Because I think I know it's written into, I'll get it right. It's actually written into the motion. It's actually the last part of the motion. And then it's one of the conditions, and then it's actually at the very bottom of the conditions on page 3 of the attachment. It had page 4 of the attachment. It's actually one of the 5 items listed there that we have to do.
I have. Yes, that's correct. I'll add that to my slide. Thank you.
Just wanted to make sure I wasn't missing something there. Because there's a lot that goes into this today. Okay. I think before we get, it's not really the best way to go about this today. So I'll go ahead and open it up to the commission first for any comments on the staff report. Yes, Commissioner Ron. Yeah.
Thank you, Chair. Okay, my first question is that one of the objectives listed for the plan is cultural diversity. Marina's inherent quality of the Marina city is its cultural diversity. So how does the downtown plan actually achieve that objective?
I think it's more trying to find ways to honor that diversity. There's policies in the plan about encouraging public art. There's policies in the plan to identify places that people can gather in the downtown to bring people together. So that's some of the ways. So.
Okay, and there's a very basic question I want to ask. I don't know that the downtown plan, it's just been in the process. The discussion started about 46 years ago, 1978. And ever since then, Marina's entire geography has changed. There is new development has come up, and there is more development which is coming up. Whatever we discussed today has implications for the next generation to come, because as and when the proposals.
Can you
come
speak
to-
into the microphone, please?
Yeah, so by the time this plan actually come to fruition, some of us may not even see that path
That's morbid. So
as it is. So my question is that the way Marina is growing, and it has grown already, it's a different city than when the proposal started. Did we ever consider alternative areas to develop as downtown? We started in 1940s, 1978 with this Del Monte area, but now there are other areas which are more developed. Did we ever consider that some other?
You know, I can't speak to what happened in the past. I mean, I can just say that I understand that there's growth going on in other parts of the city, but the urban core of the community has been central part of Marina has been really asking for this for a number of years. And so this will really help revitalize the core of the city. So
And my third question is regarding, I read the letter from Sierra Pacific Property. I see the property rep is also here. So they have expressed very serious concerns about the plan, I think, and some of their concerns have already been expressed, I saw in the staff report. So I'd like to hear from the property manager, Bob, whether the issues, because of the issues, if we go ahead with this language and that this, whatever is being addressed is okay with them, because it has implications when we talk about the economic viability of the project. This has serious issues. So those are my comments. Thank you.
Thanks, Commissioner Lana. I think what I'd like to do is just consolidate that one, and then we'll just add the comments from Sierra Pacific and just give them an opportunity to speak.
Absolutely.
Public comment. Other comments from other commissioners? It's our chance, your chance to say something. Yes.
Jacobson would like to say something.
All right, so we'll do Commissioner Chang first, then we'll go to Commissioner Jacobson and then Commissioner St. John.
My question is to community directors. The one of your slide you show the car dealership allow as outdoor sales in downtown.
yes, currently in the plan that is allowed, but that was something that came up in the last 3 or 4 months. So I am looking for the commission to make that recommendation if the commission wants that to stay in the core district or not.
No, that's why I have question on this, because when you have car dealership in downtown, at the same time you want to have more slow miles traffic and also people walkable, wheelchair accessible. So I don't know, personally, I just feel like car dealership should be in one specific locations where
Okay.
you have all the car dealers together, and not within the downtown.
Okay.
And that's my first questions and my view. And second thing is the downtown plan to reflect art and culture. So when you have a downtown plan, and the shop unit that you had, the small business, so you have to consider what kind of businesses you want to be in downtown, and also what kind of image you want to create for the Marina downtown. And because I just moved here a year ago. So the downtown, I see a lot of downtown, for example, they did it in Apple, have a lot of art and, cultural shop unit, and craft and for local businesses. They do not like to have international franchise coming in. They promote local businesses. And the same thing as Carmel by the sea. So I thought that could be a very nice concept if we could have that, implement that. And also there's a second point. And the other one is the letter from Joy Junse.
Right.
He did mention that the sidewalk for walkable and wheelchair accessible. So when you design the walkway, please consider the wheelchair accessible. Yeah, those are the three things I want to bring up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Commissioner Chang. Next up is Commissioner Jacobson. You don't have to wave your hands around.
Well, I was only waving my hand because I couldn't find that button that said raise your hand.
Okay. Sorry. Sorry.
There's an ageism joke there that I have, but I'll just keep it to myself.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Chair, for recognizing me. I think that the things I want to say are relevant in that this is the very reason that I became involved in Marina government and the commission. That I moved here in 1998 and immediately recognized that the city of Marina really didn't have an identity that you could hold up and say, this is our city center, and this is what we stand for. And since that time, I've seen city government, I've seen the business community, and I've seen the general public rally around this issue or this item of a really a center to our city and a downtown. And all of the hours and hours of everyone that is put into this project, I want to recognize, I want to thank them. I want them to be recognized for all of the work they did. And in the end, I hope that tonight we're able to move this item forward to the city council and that it is ultimately adopted as our city's policy. And I think that as all of us said, those of us on this commission probably won't see the implementation, bar a couple of businesses, but the city of Marina will greatly benefit by this in generations to come. So thank you for your time.
Thanks, Commissioner Jacobson. Okay, next up, Commissioner St. John.
Thank you, Chair. My question is to Guido. Could you put and it's kind of a follow-up to Paul's earlier discussion also, could you put that slide up again that started with the car dealerships and then went on to Asian markets, and I think there was a third element.
Sure.
And you went pretty fast over that one. Okay. Okay. On the car dealerships, how many exist right now?
Off the top of my head, two that I can think of.
One of them directly across from the shopping center where the market, the
Yes, that's correct.
farmer's market happens every Sunday.
That's correct.
And it's a used car dealership.
That's correct.
Specifically or exclusively.
That's my understanding.
And what is the other?
It's up past. Last strip mall. Shopping center. That's just as you. Downtown, or area of commercial businesses.
Heading west on Reservation? Okay, and it's also a used car
Yes.
dealership?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay, and so is these items, these three items, to add these kind of businesses into the downtown plan? Is the discussion, the point of discussion?
These were just, I mean, I got over 120 comments from when we last came to commission and council. These came after the EIR got released, and I got a myriad of comments for those. These were just 3 or 4 that I thought, oh, I should highlight to the commission, but we have, so it's really a question is what a member of the public said, hey, do we really want to have car dealerships in the core district? And I was like, I don't know. The commission and council needs to weigh in on that. And then one comment came in, hey, can you add some more pictures to the plan to show the Asian markets and Korean businesses? Absolutely. So yeah.
Okay, well, for the car dealerships, I would propose that they be grandfathered in. The existing- and but not put a paragraph in to allow or encourage other car dealerships into the downtown area.
Great. And it's part of the non-conforming process that would occur. If the plan's adopted and a business is after plan adoption is not permitted, it would just be a non-conforming use and it could remain there. Just like Randy's Donuts down in Los Angeles, it can stay there forever.
Okay.
So
The Asian markets and Korean businesses, adding additional pictures in the plan?
yes, that was the comment. And
Oh,
I'm sure. Yes. Yeah, and we can certainly do that.
okay. But I don't think to the exclusion of other,
Just showing diversity in the community. So.
it's already there, but that we would welcome any other diverse
Absolutely.
groups, not limited to that. And what the adult business and escort services remove as a conditional use?
Yeah, I don't know why that was in the plan. Obviously, I took that out. I'm assuming the commission was okay with that. So
Yeah, to remove that. Yeah, okay. I understand that's the proposal is to remove that.
yes.
Okay. All right, I'm clear.
Okay, sounds
Thank you,
good.
Guido.
No problem. No
Okay.
problem.
All I can think about is Bragg Boulevard in Fayetteville, North Carolina. Sorry. For anybody in the military, you would understand. Yeah, I raised that. And so I raised that issue and I raised that point because from those who were around the military, I could see how this ended up in the plan at some point. It really does make sense. At the same time, I look at what City of Fayetteville has done with their downtown core over time. And that was one of the main things that they really fought to remove, was to change the dynamic and the viewpoint of what their downtown was. And their downtown, they had a true city downtown, but it was very similar to this. It was not on the main path of where development had gone. And over time, that has 20 years, 25 years, they have completely revamped that, what the downtown looks like. So I can picture our downtown moving in that direction. But yeah, adding the escort services, I think we're okay with removing that. Okay, I'm going to reserve some of my comments until later. Go ahead and open it up to the public at this point. And I'm just going to lump the comment period for those who submitted comments into the public comment period instead of singling out all of the comments, because we do have like you said, we have over 120 that we received. I don't want to just focus on the ones we received in the last 3 days to the expense of the other 120 or so. So, why don't I'm going to reverse things a little bit, and I'm going to start with online this time. Usually we start in person, but I'm going to start online. And so sitting in front of me, I have Yuri Anderson with his hand raised.
There we go.
Sorry, I apologize.
That's okay. Thank you, Chair. Good evening, Commission. My name is Yuri Anderson. I'm a home owner here in Marina on Vista del Camino. And I'm really excited to hear you talking about the adoption of the downtown vitalization specific plan this evening. My home is just north of the core area. And I would love to see the downtown be an area where my family and I could really spend time and recreate on the weekends. We regularly don't travel to Monterey because of the traffic that happens. And so having a vibrant place where we can experience restaurants and shopping and art really is something I'm excited about as a homeowner, and looking forward to the conversations about road diets. I have a 9-year-old and 11-year-old, and they're starting to want to have more independence. I can let them go down to the grocery outlet, but I'm not comfortable with them crossing Reservation Road, even to go to Lucky's or Walgreens at this point, and knowing that there are plans to make it safer for pedestrians and bicyclists as part of this plan is something that's great. And I really encourage you to adopt the plan and forward it to the city, or take a motion to forward the plan for adoption to City Council. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I think you hit on some of the key areas that I think we've been talking about for the last few years I've been here. Okay. Next up is Aaliyah Elias. Maybe. Hopefully I get that right.
Yes, you got it right. That's my name, Aaliyah Elias.
Elias.
Hi. So my name is Aaliyah Elias, and I'm with MBEP, and today we want to share a little bit from our letter of support that we sent in a while ago for the DVSP. In a previously sent letter, MBEP expressed its support for the DVSP because the proposed goals outlined in the DVSP align closely with the 5 policy recommendations we listed in our MBEP white paper, Practical Housing Policy, Increasing Supply and Affordability, which was published in June of 2023. And I just wanted to take this time to make that comment.
Great. Thank you very much. That was it. I remember reading that letter before, and I think we talked about that at the last meeting, also last November, I believe. So, okay. Anybody else? I thought there was one more online that had a comment, but I don't see it now.
I don't see another person, Chair Woodson.
Okay. All right. So we'll go ahead and close the online comment, at least for now, and open it up to the floor here.
Good evening, commissioners. Hear me okay? There you go. Good evening. My name is Bob Garrison. I work for Sierra Pacific Properties. We built and continue to own and manage the Seacrest Plaza on Reservation Road. And first of all, I just want to thank Guido and city staff for hearing our concerns. We did have some concerns about the non-conforming use and our ability to continue to operate the shopping center in a first-class manner. Retail is changing quickly, and so we have to be nimble sometimes to be able to accommodate the needs of a ever-changing industry. And so we voiced some of our concerns with Guido. We had very constructive conversations with him and staff, and the proposed changes that they've made to the non-conforming language, we fully support. And with those changes, can fully support the the plan as outlined, and we're excited to be part of the downtown plan. We're in the core district, and I know it's been a long time coming for the city of Marina. We built the center in the early '80s, and most developers don't hold their assets for that long, and we plan on being in the city for a very long time, and look forward to seeing the plan come to fruition. So just want to thank Guido for hearing our concerns and working with us so that we can continue to operate the center in a first-class manner and be partners and stakeholders going forward in the core district. So thank you.
Thanks very much, Bob. All right, next.
Good evening, commissioners. My name is Juan Barboza, and I am a field representative for Carpenters Local 646, formerly 605, Carpenters Union, here in Marina on 2nd Avenue. And we have hundreds of members in Monterey County, many of which live in Marina. I am here today to speak about the downtown specific plan. First and foremost, I want to commend you all on the work that's been done so far. It's a comprehensive plan that captures a vision for the downtown and includes many important elements that will guide its development. I'm sure a lot of thought and effort has gone into this, and for that I thank you. However, I want to address a key element that I believe is missing from the specific plan: area standards for construction workers. As we look forward towards developing the downtown area, it's crucial to consider not just the buildings and infrastructure, but also the people that will be building them. Part of responsible planning is determining who will develop these projects and under what conditions. Area standards should include labor wages, healthcare, apprenticeship programs, and local hiring requirements. These are not just details. They are fundamental to ensuring that the benefits of Marina's downtown development extends to our community members. Establishing fair labor wages and providing healthcare means that our construction workers, many of whom are local residents, can afford to live and thrive in our community. Apprenticeship programs will help to train the next generation of skilled workers. And local hiring ensures that the economic benefits of development stay within Marina. Without these standards, we risk losing our residents to more affordable areas, and we miss out on an opportunity to create sustainable and meaningful employment for our citizens. We all want a vibrant downtown, but we should also strive for a community where our workers are respected, fairly compensated, and have access to opportunities that allow them to grow and succeed right here in Marina. I urge the Commission to consider incorporating these area standards into the downtown specific plan. Let's ensure that the development for our downtown reflects our values as a community, one that supports and invests in its people. Thank you for your time and consideration, and good night.
Thank you very much.
Good evening, Planning Commission. My name is Alberto Lustre with the Carpenters Local 605, formerly now it's actually 646. And I just want to echo what the Mr. Barbosa has said. We need to focus on area standards for the workers. Many of our local workforce has to travel 2-3 hours away from their home to work up in South San Francisco. We have done it. We leave at 2 a.m, come back at 7 p.m. every day. It's not fair for us to just drive everywhere. We don't have time to spend time with our families, our kids, and be part of our community. The other part is the healthcare. Many projects that actually happen in the area, they don't provide any healthcare for the workforce. And that's it's not right and it's not fair, since at the end of the day, those construction workers, they become a burden to the system. We have to pay for the healthcare as taxpayers. The next part was apprenticeship. We need to have an opportunity for youth, minority, women to be able to get into the trades. And the only way we're able to do that is to have a specific language into a specific plan. The last thing is the livable wage. We got to ensure that our citizens can afford to actually live here, pay rent. I can't say buy a house anymore because almost who can buy a house here? It's almost impossible. So I urge you to add the labor area standards, which include a livable wage, healthcare, apprenticeship, and local hire. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, commissioners, and thank you, Guido, for your presentation. My name is Catherine Styler. I'm the CEO of Habitat for Humanity, Monterey Bay, and I'm here this evening to support the affordable housing element, in particular, supporting and advocating for affordable home ownership opportunities for local families. Many of you will be familiar with Habitat for Humanity. We build affordable housing for low-income families, both in the Monterey County and also in Santa Cruz County. And we've just, our latest build, which we've just finished in Santa Cruz in Live Oak, has afforded 11 families locally to have an affordable home for the first time. We've just about to publish a report from the University of California, Santa Cruz, who have worked with us at Habitat to really show and advocate why affordable home ownership opportunities for low-income families is the game changer. We know that this economic stability, the stability that provides families locally is game changing. And also, if we think about health and home ownership, how important that is. So this plan, this downtown plan, if we can have affordable home ownership opportunities for local families, the outcomes and the impact for local families will be transformational. So this evening, I wanted to lend our support, particularly on affordable home ownership opportunities. Thank you, Guido, and thank you, commissioners.
Good evening, commissioners. Guido, Nick. Vic, I haven't forgotten your name this time. Past commissioners will understand every time I was up there. I've known Vic for many, many years, but I could never remember his name when I was sitting as chair. Okay, my name is Nancy Amadeo, former commissioner, former council member. I worked on this project as part of the committee when I was on city council. So I have seen it go through a very long process to get here. I am encouraged by what I've seen. The one thing that I think it's important about the car dealerships and other things that were mentioned tonight, they're talking about the core. And if Guido put up the map, the core is not all of the downtown plan. It is that center where people are going to want to come and enjoy being together at restaurants, plazas. That's where you will see that community art. That's in your core. That's the red. Then you see the orange and the pink. That's still part of downtown, but that's not the core. And that's where over time, as businesses that are now non-conforming uses still want to remain in Marina, but want to fit in better to the kinds of businesses that are being established, they might want to move to the outer parts and not sit in the core. That doesn't mean they have to, because they are non-conforming use. It may be at some point they close down their business because they want to retire. And that gives us the opportunity then to develop that property, turn it into 3-4-story buildings that have restaurants and offices and the affordable to purchase housing along with market rate housing. You heard Catherine speak a little bit about Habitat for Humanity, and all builders who build dwelling units have to include a certain amount of low, very low, and affordable. What we do is affordable for purchase as opposed to affordable for rent. That offers a kind of stability that you don't get in rental properties. Once you buy it, your costs remain the same. And that really makes a difference for families who want to settle here permanently and are fearful about rents going up. California is losing a lot of people because rents go up faster than the cost of for purchase housing. So that should also be a part of your consideration tonight, is that this is going to be a real opportunity for Marina residents, workers to have permanent, stable housing that stabilizes their families in one community where they really want to live. They wouldn't be here in the first place if they didn't want this to be their permanent home. So I thank you very much, and I do hope you'll pass this tonight and that the council will pass it in just a few more weeks. Thank you.
Thanks, Emily. Or is it Nancy or? Maybe that's just the issue is we just need to make sure that he doesn't actually show up to the meeting and he's virtual, and it's perfectly fine. For those who really don't get it, literally, I think 9 times out of 10, she got his name wrong and backwards. And unfortunately, then the very first meeting that I was the chair and took over, literally I did the same thing because I gotten so used to her doing it. So
Give me a break.
I've slowly corrected myself. Anyway, thank you all for the comments today. I'm gonna come back. So are there any more? I don't think we have, I don't see anybody else online.
That's
So at
correct,
this
Chair
point, I'm gonna
Wilson.
go ahead and close the public comment period and bring it back to the commission for additional comments, and then I'll kind of throw mine in. So, Commissioner Barron. You're fine.
Turn on your microphone.
I have 2 questions. One is there a reason why the core stops at Carmel Avenue and doesn't go all the way down to Cypress Street? Because I think that all the shops and the restaurants all the way down to Cypress Street can be great part of the downtown. Also will slow the traffic over there, because I see sometimes really young kids cross the street at Cypress Street to go to school from one side of Del Monte to the other side. So this is the first question is, would it be possible to include it, or is it too late, or is there a good reason why it was not included, that part of town?
Yeah, so in the build up to this meeting, if you look through the specific plan, there were over 30 public meetings, some of which happened before I started with the city, several focus groups about what they wanted out of the core. So some of those meetings I can't speak to. I can just speak to that there was this emphasis to have a core area with higher density, which the core district does. In terms of changing it now, the EIR has already been prepared for what you're seeing on the screen for the proposed densities and ranges for now. But after plan adoption, if that's something the commission and council wants to take up, that can certainly be discussed, but not at this time.
My other question relates to the surf line. I took a ride in one of those buses a couple of years ago, I think. And the guide on the bus explained to us how they are going, once it will be approved, I don't know if it will or when, how much upgrade they're going to do on reservation. Was this taken into account in the planning at all? Or is there any knowledge of how much money they're going to drop?
So it was. So when we brought this to the commission in November and council at the same time, we did get a letter from the MST folks offering support for the plan, and that asking that the city staff work very closely with MST to make sure that any public improvements be done in a way that's consistent with the MST standards. So we're committed to that in terms of making sure that the transportation goals in the plan match up with MST's actual physical environment. So
I understood that they are going to put the money and do the upgrades, not that the city of Marina will be responsible for the upgrade of Reservation Road, of the traffic lights and posts.
it's a little bit of both. I mean, so if they choose to develop their site, then that would be some of their funds. If a private developer comes in to redevelop a property, they would partner with us in the city to do those public improvements. So it's a little bit of both. So
Okay.
yeah.
Thank you.
So I think what I may add to that one is the main issues for MST with the SURF, if it's approved, are really the Palm Avenue new transit station that they want to add there. So right now it's just a bus stop. And what they want to do is they're going to turn that into a more formalized transit with stopping and turning around. That's really a whole kind of different thing. It's actually in the transition area. So it's not in part of the course, part of the transition area. And that would be, we would eventually end up having to tie in, it would have to tie into whatever the road dieting project looks like. But I mean, I think, am I correct on that? We don't.
Yeah, whatever we decide would have to obviously be consistent with, MST standards and hopefully the eventual road diet that we'll do on Del Monte. So.
I think, okay, so, Commissioner Rana, you had additional comment?
Yes, with the restriction of traffic through Reservation Road going through downtown area, I foresee the increase in traffic and the lateral arterial roads, Carmel Avenue and Beach Road, and both have school districts. So have we carried out some kind of analysis as to how these roads are going to be impacted with increase in traffic? And if we've not done any analysis, if the traffic department, the police department can carry out some kind of a survey on this.
Yeah, so and Rincon's on the phone if the commission has more detailed questions, but absolutely there was a traffic impact analysis done. And that was part of the draft EIR. We did get comments. We did respond to those. That's all part of the final EIR. So yes, the traffic was heavily studied as part of this project. So.
I think, again, what I would add to that is that as the road dieting project comes up through design, that there will be additional studies that are part of that in all likelihood.
That's correct.
So, because that is a standalone project that is separate than the specific plan here. Commissioner St. John?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Just a couple of comments in light of the discussions from the floor and by those on Zoom. Anyway, to talk about first the fair labor rates and the labor health care and anything else. Does that belong in the downtown plan, or is that covered by state law?
Yeah, I typically in a specific plan, that stuff, but we can certainly research that. That's not something typically in a specific plan. If there's other cities that you guys have worked with that you want to provide us some language that we can study, if we get a favorable recommendation tonight that we can look at. But absolutely, and the second part of your question is, like the ATP grant, the $12 million road diet to improve circulation. More likely that would come with state mandates in terms of having diverse businesses work on those projects and having prevailing wage and all that. But that would come as part of the kind of the public works process. But we can certainly, if like I said, if there's a city that you've worked with that added that to a plan, we'd have to research that a little bit before we go to council. So.
A couple of other concepts like apprenticeship, wouldn't that normally come from community colleges and even state colleges, which we have access to here in Marina and close by? But I can't imagine burdening a developer with providing an academic type program.
I mean, without getting too much into the details, I mean, the commissioner council could add a policy to the plan to say that we will partner with community colleges to find opportunities for, construction related jobs or whatnot. But, we have to be careful here because, we do want to implement the plan. We don't want to potentially hinder implementation of the plan with layered requirements. But that's something the commission and council can certainly add in terms of directing staff to research the issue. So.
I'm not really proposing that we take that route and continue this, the work. I don't want to jeopardize moving forward. But I just wanted to clarify that there is available community colleges within easy driving distance of Marina, if not in residence here.
That's correct.
Yeah, and I think they do provide a lot of non-four-year college programs for aspiring young labor.
That's correct.
So anyway, that was all I wanted to clarify that. One other point, specific projects that are on Fort Ord property, like the Dunes and Sea Haven, to name two. Those did require, to my knowledge, union labor. On-site work.
Yes, prevailing wage. Yes, that's correct.
Not specifically mandated union labor.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have all I could bring something back to the commission. I don't have those details here, and this area is actually not on former Fort Ord, so no. Yeah, so it doesn't really,
Not covered
right, that's correct. So,
could mandate fair labor rates.
once again, staff would have to research that, because, this is a specific plan the city is adopting, trying to force that upon private developers. We'd have to study that, and that's a pretty significant ask. And so we can research that. But,
As long as we're not,
yeah, we're not on for.
let's just follow the city's normal project. Okay, that's all I've got.
I just want to respond to the public comments on the labor rate. Basically, I would say that the city or the builders here will encourage them to use local contractors, and so that instead of having contractor coming all the way from San Jose or Gilroy to do the job here. Because I moved here, I realized a lot of contractors here are from Gilroy or San Jose. And I think maybe we could do as a city to try to use local contractors. And regarding apprenticeships, I think you all could set an example. And since you have the experience, you could do a training and or go to the high school. Don't have to be 2 years colleges. High school, they have extracurriculum programs. You could do that. Just like how the high school do the robotic programs. It's not part of the curriculum. It's a additional after school program. I mean, you all could do that. I mean, and then from then on, you could hire people who graduate from high school, do not want to continue college study. You could use them. And the second point I want to bring up is what Nancy had brought up about affordable housing. it's always in my mind, I think we should have more affordable housing. And because it also solves some of the homeless problem too, if you have affordable housing. But the question is, how are we going to do it? You cannot stipulate the prices and tell the builder you cannot sell beyond certain price. You know, the only way to do is using supply and demand. You build more houses, so the prices will not escalate. You know, you will come down. And when I move here, I think Marina prices is reasonable, but that affordable is very subjective. Affordable to somebody may not be affordable to others, right? So the way I think is what Marina is doing now, a lot of housing programs now, and the population is increasing. I think I read the report is about 8,000. So it's going to grow. It's growing. So if we have more housing unit, apartments especially, then people can afford to do to buy and to own instead of renting it. You know that I think I do see the downtown plan. It seems like there's so many, even the plan of the marina. I see a lot of houses units are coming up, and there are some not affordable, but there are some affordable. It's a balance. So I think it's pretty good development here, and so I agree with you. We should have affordable housing. Thank you.
Thanks, commissioners. Okay, my turn. So I'm gonna pick up where that is. I think it's an interesting issue that we have. How do you match growth and promoting growth in the core area that does not have that? If the goal is in 20 years, we have a vibrant or a growing set of mixed use commercial and residential properties in the core area. To do that, one of the key
Let me
things
do
that we could focus on in our community versus someplace like on Lighthouse in Monterey, New Monterey, where they focus more on the commercial residential, but the residential is not low income. So we have an opportunity to do something that the other areas on the peninsula haven't done. And how do we do that? And coming back to prevailing wage, it's an interesting issue because what made me, the two things that I thought about, Guido, are number one, we do have SB 35 that was passed, 4 or 5 years ago. And so there is opportunity there within that. And I've seen there have been communities, I believe, who have incorporated prevailing wage into or in alignment with building low-income housing. And they've added that as a requirement. At the same time, same thing with the educational and apprenticeship side. I think I'm going to say this, and I don't know if I'm right. I believe it's 2601, California Government Code, that is another area that could deal with the educational component and being linked into communities. I do think we could research that, try to figure out how that works. There's a part of me that says, yes, let's put that into the specific plan. Both those, if it makes sense, let's add the wording towards that. I believe there is precedent in the state that has done that. The flip side of that conversation to me is I think about 3 or 4 years ago, a set of low-income housing that was built up in Sacramento where they fell underneath, and this is what I'm remembering about SB 35, was that Sacramento used that and built it into their general plan. And the challenge was it ended up driving the costs up so high to build the 1 and 2 bedroom apartments that it drove off development, and it created a challenge. And so I don't have a good answer to your comment. I'm completely supportive of the concept of prevailing wage. I understand where it is. I think that in today's economy, where things are going in society, that having a skilled labor force, that the bottom line is that youth and young adults right now can gain more experience out of vocational programs, carpentry, plumbing, any of electric, MEP as a whole, than necessarily going to college and that you can do really well. And it's not that, I mean, I could pick the automotive industry and everything else. There are a myriad of solutions where these fields aren't going to go away is the bottom line. You can't replace MEP projects with mechanical, electrical, plumbing for those who don't know. You can't replace those with AI. You can replace my job with AI that I have. Hopefully not until I retire. But so I think that this is a big dilemma that I think having that in the plan is a good thing to consider. My question on this specific one is the right place to put this discussion in our downtown specific plan and try it out as a small microcosm, knowing that we really want to get development and growth, and this might cause a hindrance to that? Or do we, because we are rewriting our general plan right now, and that is kind of the overarching plan for the city, and these do nest together, is this something that's really more appropriate for our general plan?
Neither. So I very much appreciate the comments. Obviously, as a city, we're supportive of jobs, but this is really not the right forum in front of the Planning Commission. Prevailing wage, all these type of policies, have major policy implications for developers, for property owners. Obviously, unions are very much in supportive of this. This is really a conversation. The city manager did tell the council there's potentially to bring back our Economic Development Commission when we hire our Economic Development Coordinator. These issues can become very divisive in terms of business versus labor and all this other stuff that really is not the purview of this hearing tonight. I would say we can research this and we can work with the unions, but this is really not the right forum in terms of this specific plan is a general plan that's focused on what to do to bring potentially development into the downtown and to revitalize it. And in terms of specific wages and all that, it's a very lived in San Jose for a number of years, which took up this issue. It took about a year and a half for the city council there to adopt certain policies related to this. So I would politely just say we can talk offline and figure out a way to collaborate, but this has major implications for developers and property owners, and not something I would recommend that the commission weigh in on.
And I think that was my point I
tonight,
was getting
so.
to, Guido, is that I think if it is addressed, it's not something that necessarily comes into one of our specific plans. And it's something that is a kind of, it's a bigger issue that I do think is a valid issue. It's credible. I mean, there's a lot of thought that I can go through and I can see it. There's a lot that goes along with it, as you well know. That's why developers don't like prevailing wage a lot of times. Let's be realistic. That's it. So that was my first set of questions, and that's fine. I think but I did want to address it.
But we do want to acknowledge the comment.
And acknowledge
work.
that it's that number one, I appreciate you coming and raising the issue because it's not something that we really discuss a lot of times, but it is something that really is important to our community, and we do need to address it at some point. I just don't think in this case, to your point, it's not probably for the specific plan, but if I can leave that with you as on the staff side to work with them on, I would appreciate that. See, the other thing I had, my comments. Bob, I wanted to just, and I know you've had a number of conversations, and the lawyers have had a number of conversations with the planning staff and with Guido this week. And I appreciate the comments you had. I know we went around the rounds kind of a little bit about what is the definition of 25% floor space. And I think for those who the committee who don't know, Guido and I talked about this a little bit. One of the issues was, okay, if you have 25%, is it 25% of the floor space like real estate thinks of it, or is it vertical and it's the volume above that 25%? And so that was one of the kind of the background on some of the context. So I appreciate that the edits that you all suggested to that. And I think we came up, removing those was a good equitable decision because we are 7.6.2 really does address the other things. And that way we remove some of the duplicity and some of the redundancy that was there that may have caused some controversy. So I appreciate the the effort that you and your staff, your lawyers, that you paid them to put into developing that for us, because I think these are some good changes that were made. So I appreciate that. And that they will pay off at a bigger level outside of just about your property. I think it really applies to a lot of different properties. The last thing that I had was coming back, and this is the transition versus the core area. And it's not about changing the boundaries. It's about just understanding the downtown plan. Once this is approved, it does open, hopefully it opens up possibilities for additional grant applications in places that we can go out and search for money. We know that we have a large number of businesses that are in the transitional area, not in the core area, that really we want to be involved with this development. Is there a kind of cutoff usually that exists when we go for grants? A downtown plan is a downtown plan. It doesn't matter if you're in the transitional area or in the core. Typically does that, and I don't know the answer, when it comes up to grant applications, they just care, oh, do you have this plan? You're eligible for it. Because I wouldn't want somebody who is sitting 1 block away outside of the official core area to not benefit from potentially grants that we go to seek.
The funding that we would potentially seek to implement the plan would benefit all the property owners. And I forgot the name, the one from Santa Cruz, when I spoke with the Santa Cruz staff, it was forgot the name, pulling it up right now. The infill and infrastructure grant. That was a $20 million grant they got for their downtown. That would not just be a few select properties. If we were to get that kind of money, that would have huge impacts on all the properties in the downtown. So,
and that's why I kind of want to bring it up, because we do have a lot of businesses that are sitting in our official transition areas, that if we could get something like that, I'd like to see it benefit everybody along the reservation in Del Monte, and not just who we set over time. I mean, I don't want to say it was arbitrarily designed on what the core was, but we didn't know at the time when we started this process. Oh, by the way, I just didn't want to restrict it. So
right.
I appreciate that.
Understood.
Other than that, though, I think my other questions, the only other one that I wanted to address, and I just want to make sure, is on the non-conforming use, that after the 5 years, at that point, anything that is non-conforming hasn't been changed or upgraded, if they wanted to make a change, they would have to bring it back to the planning. And if it was large enough and it wasn't ministerial, that it would then come back to the commission or the city, and that there are avenues to continue growth and development. So nobody is going to be restricted from doing development. This is just providing a more set of standards of what we would like to be.
Yes.
Okay. That works. I kind of knew the answer.
Yeah, I mean, the answer is that we want to support all property owners and applicants, and that's why we have the planning commission. That's why we have variances from standards. That's why we want to work with the business community to implement the plan. And if there are things that need to be changed in the plan after adoption, absolutely, those amendments can be made to the plan or to the general plan or to our zoning code to support individual property owners or individual projects. But that's part of our job as planners, is to work with those owners and work with the commission to work through those issues. But first, we need the plan adopted.
Okay.
Yeah.
Commissioner Chang, do you have an additional comment?
Well, you brought up the non-conforming buildings, and Bob mentioned that too, because Sierra Pacific have a letter here because it's non-conforming building, right? So my question is, how many non-conforming buildings we have here in Marina? Do we know?
We don't have that number. And just to clarify, it's a commercial property. Commercial and retail uses will be allowed currently, and it will be allowed moving forward. So the non-conforming use is not true for that
True.
property. You can still do commercial and retail. So that, just to clarify, so.
So it shouldn't be non-conforming.
There's a concern of a larger change to the property, and that's why they're asking for some modifications, which makes sense to me in terms of how we roll out the plan. So that's the issue right now is how do we roll out the plan in a way that implements the plan, but does so in a way that's sensitive to property owners. And so the edits they're proposing do that and do make sense to me. So.
Thank you for clarifications.
And so the three recommendations that they had, that are in there, let me pull up theirs, so I have it.
I can pull it up.
If you go to page, well, the page is 1, 2, 3, 4, page 5. So page 2 and 5, or paragraphs 2 and 5, the textual changes, those were those two, and then the deletion of the paragraph. Those were the 3 changes that were recommended that were negotiated, and that's what's been removed. So all 3 of those were accepted and are being removed from the specific plan. That's what the planning staff and CR Pacific have been working on for the last week, is kind of make sure that they were in agreement that the wording would be correct. I believe those were the only 3 changes. Okay. There are no other comments from the commission. As confusing as you made that sound, Guido, about the steps we have to do, it still sounds like I believe we just have to make a single resolution. Or do we
So
actually have to go through
so there-
each of
there-
these 7.
I mean, you can just say to adopt motions and ordinances as identified in the staff report and shown on the screen. That can be done. But just for the commission, just for your education, whenever we do projects like this, the first thing we have to do is to say it's consistent with CEQA. That's the first thing we have to do. Then we're actually adopting a downtown plan. We're making amendments to the general plan, the current 2000 general plan, so that moving forward, individual property owners don't have to spend $100,000 on their own individual specific plan. So we're amending parts of our general plan to say this overrides those policies. We are adding the downtown specific plan zoning requirements into the municipal code. We are amending the zoning map so that becomes the official zoning map of the city. The thing we added this week is making minor edits to the non-conforming section based on the comments you've received tonight. And the catch from the chair, rescinding motion, City Council motion 2008-111, which also speaks to specific plans. So that is all of the actions you're taking tonight. And I would defer to our deputy city attorney if that has to be verbalized, or if we can just say adopt as identified in the staff report. So
What
That's fine. Just adopt as identified. Adopt the recommended motion.
Yeah, and I believe that's, hold on, I'll come back to you in a second. And I believe that's how it's written into the proposed resolution. And I know we've made the proposed resolution, just it takes it takes 6 of the 7 bullets, because it does not have the minor edits. In the current resolution, it doesn't have the minor edits. So we were going to have to do a friendly amendment for that. But if we adopt this as stated there, that was where I wanted to get to, was the proposed resolution right now covered 6 of the 7 requirements minus the recommended minor edits. But instead, what we could do is change the resolution to, which by the way, it says City Council consider adopting. It doesn't say Planning Commission. I believe it's supposed to be.
says the planning commission recommends that the city council.
Yeah. So I'm actually looking at what was online in the agenda. The actual proposed resolution is City Council consider adopting resolution. It's not. And so it is a little bit different. So So what it should say is that the planning commission recommends that the city council adopt resolution, and then we're gonna have to put what at 24.xx. Because we don't have a number, or do we have to do that at all? Or do
No,
we
I
just-
think the deputy city attorney said it was sufficient just to say,
Okay.
uh,
So we just,
recommend
so
the
basically,
motion,
we just
yeah.
turn we turn this slide into the recommended motion.
that's correct.
But
And that will
let's just
replace-
make sure that that the language is correct on the planning commission resolution. It should say the commission recommends.
Correct.
Yeah, I have that the planning commission recommends the city council. This is what's on the slide.
So we're gonna ignore what's in the agenda and what was created, and we're gonna replace it in its entirety with this slide.
Chair Woodson, I think the correct resolution comes at the end of the staff report. And it will need to be, you'll need to have those couple extra provisions added to it that Guido put on his slide.
Right. Well, I think that was, yes. And so I think that's, when I look at the 4-page resolution that's written right now, the minor edits are actually in there. Well, 2 of the minor edits, no, actually removals, certifies equal, approved. So here's my challenge with the motion is the way I'm seeing it right now. The challenge is that do we not have the other the more detailed conditions, the whereases that usually are part of the motion, and those are written in the actual motion itself, not on the slide.
Okay, this deputy city attorney can correct me, but what is on the slide here really does encompass what the commission's trying to
Can we remove the car dealership?
accomplish tonight. And I can take out, I don't think we got consensus on the car dealership issue. I will bring that up separately to council.
We can.
That's fine.
I mean, we can talk about the car dealerships very quick. I don't mind doing that. I think I just forgot these in my notes. So come back to that. Let's talk about the car dealerships and whether we're gonna leave that or not. I mean, my feeling on the car dealerships, and this is to the commission, is that telling current is to restrict, allow current car dealerships to remain. We can't force car dealerships to merge and say we're going to put them in a specific area. I mean, one's in the core, one's in the transition. We can't tell them, oh, by the way, you need to move to a different piece of property, because that doesn't make, even if it doesn't match, it doesn't make sense. And that's not supportive of our community. But it doesn't mean that we have to approve a new dealership being put into any of the area. So I think that on the car dealerships piece, then it would be, and then it would be that the current car dealerships would be considered do we have to say anything? Or, I mean,
I don't need anything from the
Conditional
commission.
use.
Just the only thing I need is, and it doesn't even have to be part of the final motion. What is the general recommendation from the commission? Do you want that to stay in the core district or not? That's all. That's the central question. And it was a question that came up from a member of the public, and I'll have to deliberate that with the council. That's all the commission has to do tonight.
So any comments on the car dealership? You've heard my opinion, but
I understand your opinion, but I think that in the future, they should be eliminated from the core, but conditional use could continue, forever.
right. And I think that's what I'm saying. We're not going to force a business to close, but we're not going to allow it to transition and expand.
Correct.
Anybody else?
Yeah, in the long run, it should not stay there, because the car dealers, I mean, the people do the driving runs. And there's hardly any space moving into the downtown area, so they have to move out.
No, I guess mine is, I think it also opens up a second, the car dealership is a commercial business, but it opens up a secondary issues because in that core area right now, we also have a set of residential, single family homes that are sitting right there.
Right.
We have a number of things that conflict with what we're trying to do in the core area. And I don't think we should say, yes, we don't want to have new singles. And this is like my point. We don't want to have new single family homes being built there. We don't want to have new car dealerships. We don't want to have things that are non-conforming be destroyed and rebuilt on the same property. If it closes up or it changes hands, then that's it. That's the end of it and it's gone. And that's the way we leave it. But if it's there right now, we leave it the way it is. And I don't think we should single out the car dealerships over the single family homes versus individual standalone businesses that aren't part of the bigger picture of what we're trying to create.
Roger that.
Does that make Guido?
So are you recommending to keep it as a conditional use or just to eliminate? I'm just trying, I don't understand what you guys are asking me.
We want to keep it as
Keep it as a
it's a
conditional.
non-condition, it's a non-conditional use that is approved with the plan, just like the drive-in windows.
Yes.
How are we treating the drive-in windows?
The drive-throughs would not be allowed in the core district after adoption of the plan.
But we're not going.
But we're not going to go bulldoze the ones that are there now.
And
It's
so
legal
however we
non-conforming.
however we're treating the drive-through windows is how we would treat the
Okay,
the car
sounds good.
dealership.
Thank you. Understand.
And the residential.
and the single family residential.
Sounds good.
Wouldn't we also want to restrict adult businesses?
Yeah, that's already been
It's
taken
already
out of
been
the plan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So car dealership and then single family homes. Anything else? Okay. I think I've got it. The fortunate part is I don't actually have to repeat it the first time because I get to be the chair. So would somebody like to make a motion?
And just to be clear, the PC resolution is resolution 2024-21. It's the last 2 pages of the staff report. It's not the 4-page
Okay,
council resolution that was referred to earlier.
okay.
But we're adding these new provisions that Guido just added to the slide.
Right. Somebody? Okay, then go ahead and then make it. Jeez. I did.
Okay. I want
Before
to.
before the commissioner begins, can I make one additional change, Guido?
Yes.
To item 4 on the slide, please add the code, the number of the ordinance, the draft ordinance that you drafted.
I don't have a number for the draft ordinance. It's just a draft. It's just a draft until the council adopts it. So
Okay. Adoption of ordinance drafting. Okay, then that's fine.
okay.
Okay, but there is a specific number for this
20
recommendation.
2024-21.
Okay. All right. So the motion is that the planning commission recommends to the City Council, PC Resolution 2024-21. And in particular, number one, that they certify the final environmental impact report and adopt the Mitigation Monitoring Program, MMRP, findings of fact and statement of overriding conditions. Number two, approve the downtown specific plan. Item three, adopt the general plan amendments, GPA 24-003 to the 2000 Marina General Plan to implement the downtown specific plan. And item four, adopt the zoning text amendments to the Marina Municipal Code to implement the downtown specific plan. And item five, amend the Marina zoning map. Amend the Marina zoning map to incorporate by reference the zoning standards identified as Appendix A downtown area. No, oh, I'm sorry. Identified as Appendix A development code to the downtown specific plan. And item six, recommend minor edits to the non-conforming section as identified above and incorporated into the enabling ordinance by reference. And item seven, rescind City Council Motion 2008-111 regarding the preparation of a specific plan for individual projects in the downtown area. And item eight, car dealerships and single-family homes are non-conforming
After plan adoption.
after plan adoption.
I second.
Great. Commissioner Jacobson,
Yes.
Commissioner Chang,
Yes.
Commissioner St. John,
Yes.
Chair Woodson, Vice Chair Walton,
Yes.
Commissioner Rana,
Yes.
Commissioner Barron.
Yes.
Motion passes.
That- So this has been a long time coming. We still have a little ways to go. Fortunately, we don't have hopefully we did not leave the city council with a large discussion on this. I don't believe we did. So hopefully this will go pretty quickly through the city council. I appreciate everybody's efforts. And I will single you out, Nancy. I'll sing you for credit for this because you've been around for years working on this and since before it began on the city council. And so I appreciate being here at the end. Thank you very much. Again, I really do appreciate the comments that you made. Thank you. So thank you for all the effort that you have done to help keep this in visibility for the last few years. It was. And thank you to the commission over the last few years, but the year since November to make the final changes and edits. I think we have taken what was a good document from Rincon and really made it a better one that I think will really be good for our community down the road. And I really hope that we will start seeing the changes in this because usually they are additive in nature, that once you get a few people moving in a direction, that it starts to move quickly. And I think to what Guido knows, and we can't be, businesses are really itching to get going and they have a lot of ideas. And I think if we can get some grant money and we can find that they're going to be, I think the community will be surprised at how fast some of the development goes on to improve not just the core, but even the transition areas. So thanks everyone. Last couple things, we have informational briefs tonight. you have anything? I think you had one item.
We do. Nick on his own has been trying to enhance customer experience, and I'm going to pass it off to him in terms of some of the great work he's been doing. So
Do you want to pull up the presentation? Sure. Okay.
1 second.
It's not anticlimactic, Nick. This is actually pretty cool what you're going to show.
I was thinking it's very anticlimactic.
Presentation.
Yeah, it's very utilized part of our online
1 second.
apparatus. This is part of our ongoing efforts, though, to improve our online services.
Go ahead.
And so this is our permit service center appointments that I've created about 6 months ago or so. If you want a presentation mode, that good. And then go to the next slide, of course. So on our website, this is kind of small on the screen, but hopefully you can see it. If you go to cityofmarina.org and you go to our community development department webpage, there's a button that says schedule an appointment. And there's actually similar buttons on the building services and the planning services and the code enforcement services web pages as well. On the main page, it goes to the next slide. Not the next slide, but the next website. And it allows people to make appointments with the building division, the planning division, or the code enforcement officer. So, and they're 15-minute increments. And yeah, so you just click on which one you want to make an appointment with. Next slide. And then you pick the date. This is me. This is for tomorrow. So you can make an appointment with me tomorrow, 10:30, 10:45, 11, 2, 2:15, 2:30. So it allows you to have some knowledge of when you're meeting with people. Next slide, please. And if you had a particular project or you have a particular question you wanted asked, then this is the information that pops up. And then depending on who you make an appointment with, we send off an email to you, to the person, and ask them some questions, or give them information. So for instance, if they email me, I'll say, please provide the address and any additional information you want via email prior so we can answer your questions better and be better prepared, that kind of stuff. And it really is just to make sure that people are, the last thing we want is when people come to the counter and they ask for building or planning or code enforcement and we're out in the field or we're busy in an inspection or we're at lunch or something like that. So we only have one permit tech. We only have one of me. We only have one permit code enforcement officer. So this gives people a little bit of certainty that they're going to have a meeting with us. And when people come in and we're not there, we say, oh, just make an appointment with them. So that's the intent. And we continue to work on different ideas to make our service better to our customers and to the public. So this is one of those tools. So.
Yeah, and I just want to acknowledge, Nick, that since I've been working here, he's updated, and as well as Allison, all of our forms, our handouts. Allison and him have completely revitalized the whole website. This is in our continued effort to improve our customer service. And as the commission's aware, we've also brought probably about 20 zoning text amendments to make stuff more streamlined for especially our housing applicants because of state law changes. So I just wanted to acknowledge Nick. So thank you. So
thank you.
Yeah. So did you actually develop the Microsoft Bookings add-on yourself?
Yeah. Yeah, I calibrated the settings.
That's actually very cool.
Yeah, we looked at other options and we already had bookings. It was free, so we went with the free option. Yeah.
I like the idea. I think that'll be, and the reason I say it may seem anticlimactic, it's not, because a lot of the downtown core things are long-term development issues. This is something that has a direct daily feedback to our community. And this idea of, oh, I can never get an answer, or I don't know what to do, I don't know where to go. It's like, no, really, it's right here. Just schedule a meeting.
Yeah.
And that's it is not anticlimactic at all. That is a big customer service add to the city. So thank you very much for doing that.
Yeah.
Okay, we've got that done. Correspondence?
None.
Okay, I think that's it. The last thing is we can adjourn.
Awesome.
Okay.